And it is now my pleasure to introduce this afternoon's commencement speaker. He is a Doane alum, class of 1987, author and radio host. His ability to achieve stems from humble beginnings as a farmhand. Those lessons are both his personal foundation and the basis for his latest book, Lessons from the Farm, Essential Rules for Success. His award-winning first book, Got Social Mediology, in which he took a broad social toy and made it a surgical business tool, led him to become the internet doctor. He spent years on the airwaves calling out gaffes and helping to prevent DFMD, digital foot and mouth disorder. As an athlete and sports fan, the next logical step was to target DFMD in college athletics. He did so with the social media playbook for student athletes and the social media playbook for coaches and administration. Since he had been interviewed on regional and national radio and TV to separate the myths from methodology, the change in direction inspired his own successful radio podcast, A New Direction, providing weekly interviews with best-selling authors and experts from around the world who would inspire change in the lives and careers and businesses of others. He is a professional member of the National Speakers Association, the American Psychological Association, and manager of the Psychological Marketing Network on LinkedIn. And, by the way, he also taught psychology for more than 20 years at several universities, including Washington State University and North Carolina State University. So, ladies and gentlemen and students, may I present Mr. J. Izso.
Okay, first of all, you haven't even heard me speak, so I want to thank you for the applause. That's awesome. It's kind of like passing the plate before the sermon, so I greatly appreciate that. So my publicist wrote that introduction. I did not write that introduction, okay? I just want to get that straight and right up front. Doane, graduates of 2019. Let me tell you what. First of all, I want to say congratulations, and the second thing I want to say to you is, wow, are you guys young? I don't think we looked that young 32 years ago. You know, I sat in those chairs 32 years ago. No, seriously, I looked at them. They're exactly the same chairs we sat in. I don't know how they've made it that long. I actually don't. Is there a special section for the people who have Latin words after their name? So, who are the people who got, like the summa cum laude, magna? Who are you people? Is there anybody here? Where are they at? Oh, well, you can raise your hand. It's okay. You were the people who actually studied here. Okay, it's all right. You can, it's fine. They got people who go, oh, yeah, I graduated summa cum laude. You know that people are reading the program, right? And they think that's what your degree is in, okay? Seriously, they're going, what is that degree? I didn't know you could major in that. I had no idea. How much do they make? What do they do, right? I've done some research in terms of what graduates want from their commencement speaker. And according to MIT, what you graduates want are two things: to be entertained and to have something unexpected happen. Sadly, I'm not going to provide either one of those today. No, it's awesome, and it's such a great honor to be here and to be in front of you. We're going to try to have some fun. So let's start right now by doing the unexpected, can we? Because I got to tell you something. As a guy who writes books on social media, I got to get a selfie of this, okay? Not you guys. I'm talking about them. All right, everybody, come on. I'll just go right around the room here. Here we go. Awesome. Cheese. Here we go. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Here we go. One more. Right here. Awesome. Okay, that was unexpected, because if there was ever a commencement speaker who had did that before, I'm going to be really disappointed. I need to go away from you for a second. I need to talk to your parents. Is that cool? Can I talk to your parents for just a second? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Moms, dads, congratulations. Dad, you can buy those new golf clubs now. I know you've been eyeing those bad boys for a long time. It's over. And I know how much they cost to get a nice set of golf clubs and get fitted. It's about one semester of Doane tuition. Mom, it's time to change the carpet. Yeah, we all know that for the last 4 years you have burned holes in that carpet on your knees praying to God that this day would happen. It's here. You can buy the carpet, which means that you're going to change the paint color. And if you're like my wife, it also means you can buy new furniture. Dad, before you get through Lincoln, get the clubs now because that's about 1.5 years of Doane tuition, okay? Grandparents, congratulations. Right? I mean, it's kind of like your kids were kind of a meh, but they did produce great offspring, you know? Siblings of the graduate students. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. If I have to hear one more time how great they are, I'm going to throw up. Friends of the graduates. We all know why you're here. It's a free meal. We get it. I would be remiss if I did not thank the Doane administration, Dr. Carter, Dr. Savory, faculty that I've met, the staff. You've been very kind and generous to me, and I want to just say thank you to both of you for this campus is beautiful because 32 years ago, so many of these buildings were not here, and it's gorgeous. But the one thing that has remained at Doane College is the love and the caring and the support that these people have managed over all these years to maintain. And that's awesome. That's a commence to you. Can we give them a hand because that's an amazing part of what we do. Dr. Savory kept emailing me and has reminded me over the course of the last 3 days as I've toured this campus, keep it short. Well, we'll see what happens. I do want to say one other person do I need to thank, and it's Marty Fye. Everybody knows Marty, right? I don't know, where's he at? Where's Marty at? Has anybody seen Marty? Marty was handing out there he is in the back. Marty was handing out programs. He'll be coming through the aisle with peanuts and popcorn and a soda. Just find him later. Marty, I just want to say, first of all, Marty was my resident advisor when I came to Doane 37 years ago. And he was my first friend because he was the resident advisor. That was all our first friends. And for when we were freshmen here, and great guy. And Marty said, Marty, I want to say thank you, and I'm sorry. Because after today, they will never let you pick another commencement speaker. And while you're in the unemployment line, feel free to use me as a reference, whatever that's worth. I came from a small town of 119 people called Izso, Nebraska, which is right near Wahoo. I was a farm hand. Anybody here, were you on the farm? Here, graduated farmers? Okay, no. Okay, well, I was the only one then. That's okay. I was a farm hand. I barely had a C plus in high school. I came to Doane in the summer of 1982, long before any of you were a thought, long before any of your parents even had the thought of marrying each other. I was here. Came by myself. My parents did not have much money. And I showed up here, and I talked to a man by the name of Mr. Steve Rasmussen. And I talked my way into Doane College. And there was a caveat. The caveat was I could come here, but I had to take the ACT test because I'd never taken one. I never took that ACT test, and to be quite frank, I'm not going to take it now. After my first semester of Doane, I managed to accumulate a total GPA of 0.75. I'll repeat that in case you think I misspoke. 0.75. You have to try to get a 0.75. One of the faculty is clapping about that right now. Wow, that's awesome. No, seriously, you do. You have to really try. I had to find things to do. I love Crete, but there's not a lot to do here that you had to find to do. I did it all twice, 3 times, sometimes 4 times in a row. Yeah, I hear you. Seriously, if you just go to class, you get a C just by osmosis alone, okay? I had 1 passing grade. It was in badminton. It was a D. The reason I got a D in badminton is because I was in a same group with a bunch of young ladies who were from another country where their number 1 sport was badminton. And at 6 feet 4 inches tall, you do not want to be the target of a birdie by those people. I don't recommend it. I seriously don't. I remember realizing at the end of that semester, trying to stay here as long as I could stay here. I did not want to go home. I realized I had failed Mr. Rasmussen. I realized that I had failed the football team. I realized that I failed myself. But probably the hardest day was going home back to Ithaca and getting in front of the door, my dad on that little brown couch that we had in our little small home, sitting there as I'm standing in the doorway. And he said to me, "Son, maybe Doane is not for you. Maybe we need to look at a tech school." And I remember all the emotions that ran through me. They still do. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. I was afraid. I was panicked. I was all of those things. And it hurt me so deeply. It was like somebody took a sharp knife and was running it through my body, not just once, but over and over and over again. And there have been times in my life where there have been words that have come out of my mouth, and I don't know where they ever came from. And this was one of those times. And I said to my dad, "No, Dad, I can fix this. I'll make this right." I didn't know how I was going to do it. I was scared to death. I didn't know how I was going to overcome it. I didn't know how I was going to make this right. I had no idea. I just wanted to stay in my bed and never get out of it again. And then I came back the next semester, and a man by the name of Dr. Tom Johnson took me under his wing, and I met with him every Tuesday and Thursday at 9:30 in the morning downstairs in this building. And he would go over my notes and ask me how I was writing notes. He would go over what I was reading in a textbook. He would hold me accountable, how I was studying. And by the end of that second semester, I was over 3.0. Okay, nobody's ever clapped for me academically. I just want to let you know that, so thank you for that. By the end of my career here, the last 3 or 4 semesters, I was on the dean's list. And I remember Dr. Ziegler, who was the dean here at the time, pulled me into his office and said, "I am so proud of you." And that was an amazing moment. And subsequently, I was married here, went to grad school, didn't get accepted at any college, but my wife got accepted at all of them. So I just tagged along, and I went to the psychology department at Washington State University, and I handed them back the rejection letter and said, "You're wrong." And they said, "No, we're not. We've seen your grades." They accepted me. I talked my way into grad school. I ended up getting divorced, had a child during grad school. I take my dream job at North Carolina State University thinking I'm going to be the greatest sports psychologist in the world, and then 4 years later, it's gone. Out of work, overeducated, underexperienced. In North Carolina, don't know a soul. I meet a woman who is so successful and so beautiful, somehow we got married. It's so unexpected. And I love her dearly, and for the 20-plus years that we've been married, when she says to me, "You can run through a brick wall," I believe I still can. Because being loved unconditionally is unexpected. I remember she told me, you need to be a speaker. Didn't know how to do it. Asked a friend, how do I become a speaker? He said, write a book. I said, you know, Dr. Purdon gave me a C+ in remedial English at Doane College. He really did. Illusion versus reality, DHMs. Remember that? Yeah, right? Yeah, he used to do that to us in the Tiger Inn, too. He still does. What I learned from all of this is when I wrote my first book, I did not expect that it would be in every bookstore in Canada and the United States. I did not expect it to be in every airport, in every subway station in New York City. I did not expect the Library of Congress to ask me to find my best copy of my book and include it in the Library of Congress. I never expected that. You see, stories are like that. See, the best stories in the world have to have a villain. If stories don't have a villain, whether it's self-inflicted or something bad happens to you, see, there's no heroes. See, you can't be a hero if something bad doesn't happen. The pain of things has to happen if you can demonstrate your worth, if you can demonstrate what metal you are inside, that you could demonstrate who you really are so that people could see what you really are. You've got to have that pain. You've got to have those villains because that's what makes the story. But more than that, it's what makes the unexpected life. And I have got 4 ingredients to leading that unexpected life. Because you're going to deal with pain. You're going to deal with the villains. Some you're going to do to yourself, some are just going to happen. The first is when that bad villain shows up, you have got to get up. I don't care how you feel, you have got to get up. You've got to get up physically, you have to get up mentally, you have to get up emotionally, you have to get up spiritually, you have got to get up. No matter what life deals you, you've got to get up. Newton was right. A body in motion stays in motion. A body at rest stays in rest. You have got to get up. To quote the great philosopher, Sylvester Stallone, it's not how hard you hit, it is how hard you can be hit and keep going. And I just quoted Sylvester Stallone. The second ingredient is you got to do things afraid. Fear is the greatest villain that you will ever face in your life. It wants to keep you right where you're at. Do you realize that it is Saturday? And there are people in this audience who are so trapped by fear that they are already dreading Monday morning's job because they're afraid they can't get out. Because fear wants to say you can't. Fear wants to say it's impossible. Fear wants to say it's improbable. Fear is the greatest villain you ever have. And I got to tell you something. If you wait for fear to go away, it will never go away. You have to do it afraid. You have to do it afraid. And then understand that you have 2 things always under your control. The first is your attitude. You can control your attitude. I don't care what is going on in your life. You can control your attitude. We live in a world today that wants to blame. We want to blame everybody else for how I feel. When we blame everybody else for how I feel, do you know what we're saying? You own me. And nobody should be owned. Nobody should be owned mentally. Nobody should be owned emotionally. Nobody should be owned. You are in control of your emotions. You can control that. It is up to you to be positive today. It is up to you to say today is going to be great. You're in control of that. And I want to give you a little tip. Just something little you can take home with you. All of you can take this home. Buy yourself a little diary notebook. And every morning that you wake up, I want you to open up that notebook to the page, and I want you to write that date, first thing in the morning. And I want you to write down 7 things that you are grateful for in that book. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a cup of coffee. I don't care if it's your dog. I don't care if it's your cat, even if you can be thankful for cats. I don't care what it is. To be thankful to, write down 7 things. Because you know what? That's how you're going to start your day. But what's even greater than all of that is that I don't care what happens to you during your day. When you go home at night before you go to bed, if it was a bad day, I want you to open up that book, because those 7 things that you were grateful for in the morning are still there at night. And you can be grateful for them. And the last thing that you're in total control of is your effort. You can always control your effort. You can always give a little more. You can always work a little harder. You know why most relationships fail? It isn't because people fall out of love. It's because they quit trying. They quit giving the effort. That's why things fall apart. Rod Brindamore is the head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes NHL team. They're currently in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And he's a friend of mine, and in 2006, I got to train with him for 1 summer. And he said to me, effort is the one thing that I can absolutely control. I can't control what the puck does. I cannot control what the other players do. I cannot control what the referees do. I cannot control the ice, but I can control what I do. You have that ability to control what you do and your effort. And when you allow those things to happen, when you understand those things, you leave yourself open to living the most unexpected life, because you're all going to write a story. Because 0.75 is standing before you right now, and he's your graduation speaker. And that's pretty darn unexpected. That's not supposed to happen. And as great as this moment, and as thankful as I am for this moment, and with all the gratitude I have at this moment, there was one moment that was greater, and I want to share it. When I wrote my first book, I sent an early copy to my dad when he turned 83. I had no idea that my dad would die 7 months later. And I called him on his birthday. And I said, Dad, did you get the book? And he said, yeah. And for the first time in my life, I heard my dad's voice crack and break. And I knew he was holding that book in his lap, and he was running his fingers over the top of the raised lettering, shaking. And I could hear the tears running through his voice. And he said to me, I knew you were smart, but I had no idea. Tell your story, Doane graduates, but leave room in the margins for the unexpected life, because it will be amazing. Thank you.